Welcome to Outpost 95. Today we're going to be starting a new series on land navigation, specifically using topographical maps, compasses, and for movement on foot. This is kind of a dying art. Most people now rely on GPS for just about everything, and that's got its advantages, but the old school way of using a map and compass is actually more useful, I feel, once you've learned the techniques as you're gaining access to more information. Some of the advantages of using a map and compass over GPS are that you're gaining access to a full map sheet with more information that's easier to read versus a little screen on a phone or on a GPS that, while it has the information there, is much more difficult to process. The batteries don't wear on your map, and it's giving you a really good solid way of navigating that isn't technology dependent. Why should you learn land navigation? Well, big reason is that you can stay found. You don't get lost if you stay found the whole time. Another reason is you're going to get a quicker way of studying an area instead of having to go and explore the entire thing on foot and get a general idea of what's happening there just by reading the map and studying the terrain features. You can improve your safety by having a better idea of what you're going to be facing in the way of obstacles. And another important reason why you should learn land navigation is you can relay your location to another individual, or you can use it to upload later into a GPS mapping software. And if you want to mark locations throughout, then you can start plotting things on your map. All right, some general definitions here. Topography is the relief, features, or the surface configuration of an area. A map is a representation, usually of a flat surface, of the features of an area, the earth, or a portion of the heavens. All right, we're going to begin this series by learning about the map. I've chosen to use a USGS 7.5 minute series map. And what that depicts is 7.5 minutes of longitude and 7.5 minutes of latitude in its size. Several reasons for picking this type of map. One is it's commonly available. I was able to purchase these from a local bookstore, and many local places will sell USGS maps. They're commonly understood for that reason. It shows a lot of detail, making it very easy to navigate with. In the top right corner of the map, you can see the name label. It's going to be the most predominant feature that's located within the map. And underneath that, we've got its location by state and county. And then it's listed again that it's a 7.5 series topographical map. Top left-hand corner usually will have the type of map that it is. In this case, a USGS Geological Survey map. Here in the center of the map, we can see the most distinct feature, which in this case is a city. Here at the bottom of the map, we have our map key. This is kind of like the answer to the test. It's going to give us all the information that we need to know to utilize this particular map. The scale is going to depict the how much detail is shown. For instance, this 1 to 24,000 map is going to show quite a bit more detail than a 1 to 50,000 map, which is more commonly used in the military circles, or a 1 to 250,000 map, which would be more of a driving atlas or road atlas. 1 to 24,000 is not usually useful for anything driving, but when you're walking on foot, it's going to provide you quite a bit of detail. It's going to allow you to very easily navigate. One disadvantage is that it takes quite a few maps to cover an area, and if you're doing a large foot movement, you're going to need to carry multiple maps with you, making it less practical. Here on the key, we've got our grid magnetic angle showing the declination for this particular map. This is particularly useful once we start to incorporate our compass with the map so that we can get very precise locations. Here in the bottom left-hand corner, we've got some production data. The production data is going to tell us when the map was made and updated. The datum, which will be useful once we start using a GPS with our map. And then our universal transmercator, or our UTM zone, is also listed in here. Here we have our quadrangle location depicted, which will show you where this map is in location to a larger known object, in this case the state of Idaho. And then right below that, you've got your adjoining 7.5 minute quadrangles. And what that's going to do is allow you to know how these maps get pieced together, especially if you're moving across map sheets. Here in the center, we've got our scale of 1 to 24,000. And then the scales listed out so that we can use it to measure distances and navigate in multiple ways. One via miles, feet, and then kilometers or meters. And the kilometers and meters section is what we're going to use mostly for our navigational purposes. The squares here in the map will be listed in the miles, typically. This also shows our contour interval of 20 feet, which we'll get into later, but that's showing what those squiggly brown lines are and how much distance is between those in elevation, which is helpful for our knowing what the topography actually is. In the bottom right of our map, in the key here, we have the name of the map listed again and the year it was last updated. And then we've got some road and highway symbols listed. That way you can know what sort of road surface that you've got. The roads are typically depicted in red, especially if they're paved or an improved road. And then you'll also have some in black or variations of a black tick mark. And those are usually your less improved or your Forest Service roads where you're not normally going to drive a passenger vehicle down. Along the side of the maps, you're going to have some series of numbers, and these are going to be for the two coordinate systems that this map supports. One is a latitude and longitudinal system, and then the other is for the Universal Transmercator System, or UTM. These coordinate systems run up the side of the map, and they've got little tick marks. Without further work, they're not usable completely at this point, but once grid lines are added, we can use these to navigate with relative precision. And there are quite a few colors represented on the map. Typically, maps will use black to represent man-made objects, buildings in this case. You can have railroads as well. Pumping station, as is labeled here. You're also going to have the color of blue. The color of blue is going to indicate water. Pretty obvious symbol. You'll also have blue to indicate streams. This map doesn't depict it, but if you've got a broken line in your blue, that will indicate an intermittent or seasonal spring, as in it won't run year-round, particularly in the dry months of your area. All right, the next color we're going to talk about is brown. Brown is kind of the meat and potatoes of our topographical map. There are going to be a bunch of squiggly lines that don't really mean much of anything until you really learn how to read them. But these are the contour interval lines that are showing the topography of the map. Every fifth line will be a darker color brown, and that's indicating a 5 or 100 feet. For instance, your 2100, you can kind of see here, this next unlabeled line would be 2200, and this is going to show you your topographical features. For instance, where this blue line where the stream is running, this is going to be the bottom of a draw. And then here, for instance, is going to be a ridge line going up to the top of this plateau. Next color we're going to talk about is red. Red are typically going to indicate your roads. It looks like it might be a little washed out because of the light, but this line here is actually red. It's going to indicate that at this point it's both highways 95 and highway 2. It's highway 95 here and highway 2 there, indicating that at this junction highway 2 continues off in this direction while highway 95 goes up in this one. The solid lines are going to be your highways and interstates, and then your dashed ones are going to be your secondary roads for your county, moving on down to usually a black road indicating it's less maintained, or maybe perhaps made out of gravel or something like that. So you're going to have roads moving through here. These are going to be less major thoroughfares. Now at the bottom of this map you'll also see a border in red, and that's going to be the border of, in this case, the Canixie National Forest. So borders of areas can also be depicted in red. Here with better lighting we're able to see that the road here is red. This is where the highways 2 and also labeled 95 in this case run together. Thank you for tuning into this video on LandNav. If you have any questions on what we talked about today, definitely give me a comment below. And stay tuned because we're going to be going over more of this stuff in the future. Thanks.